de compartilhar um pouquinho. Se vocês não se importam, eu vou mudar para inglês. So hello, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to this webinar. We are very happy to have you here in this online room. We are here today to share what's new for teachers in relation to the TOEFL iBT test. I hope you are as excited as I am as the innovations in the test. So you are all very welcome. And I would like to ask you to please type in the chat box, where are you watching us from? I see we have Elvira from Arapongas. I myself, I am in São Paulo area, Caxias do Sul, Curitiba, Ribeirão Preto, São Paulo. You are all very welcome. Thanks for coming, and I hope you enjoy this webinar. Well, let's talk about a brief summary of our objectives for today. We are shaping the future of English assessment. As you know, there have been several changes to the scenario of language assessment in general, with the incorporation of new technologies. And our objective for today is that you leave this session with a clear understanding of what's changing in the TOEFL iBT, when and how it will affect your students, and what support and resources you will receive. And also, I would like to mention for you to please feel free to use the questions area in your chat, so that at the end of this talk, we will get back to the questions. We have someone listening from Iraq, watching from Iraq. Welcome, Taber. I hope I have pronounced your name correctly. Okay, so let's move on. TOEFL has been in constant transformation. I would like to mention that in May this year, we implemented important changes to the TOEFL Home Edition, with several improvements in relation to the support that students receive during the test, and also security and identity verification. And on top of that, we will also have changes that will come into effect in January 21st, 2026. And these changes refer to the format, the structure, types of questions, and score scale of the TOEFL iBT. And why is that? It is important to take the context into consideration. And looking back to the history of TOEFL, TOEFL is the world's first English test, high-stakes English test. So it was launched first time in 1964, and it is the most recognized high-stakes English test in the world. It has been going through several changes since then, because of course new technologies have been incorporated into the test, and also it is evolving again. I would like to mention that TOEFL is recognized by more than 13,000 institutions around the world in more than 160 countries. And it is important always to remember, and you who are teachers, you may be in the classroom, or you may be in the virtual classroom, or you may be teaching one-to-one lessons. You know that testing needs to change, because today's students have already changed. The way young people interact with new content, the way they learn, the technologies that are available to them are different from what they were in 1964 when the test was first launched. So today we know our work in the classroom is much more centered in the student, and they have much more protagonism than they used to have in the past. So the test is evolving together with the students. And we have an acronym for you to memorize in relation to the changes in the TOEFL test. This acronym is FAST, but it doesn't mean that the test is shorter. It actually stands out for these four concepts that we are seeing now on the screen. We want the test to be fair. We want the test to be more inclusive because we have young people and even older people from several different countries that want to have the opportunity to study in another country. They want to access international education. So the tests need to be fair to everyone, regardless of your cultural background and your school history. We also need the test to be smart. Why? Because we have external metrics such as the Common European Framework that you all know probably, and the test needs to be aligned to such a framework. We want the test to be agile. We want our test takers to receive the scores fast and have flexible ways of delivery. And we also want some kind of customization. We want the test to be tailored. We want the test to adapt to the history of each of those students. So in the next few slides, I will show you how ETS has been working on these four elements and what are the TOEFL iBT enhancements. So when we talk about fairness, when we talk about that the test needs to be fair, we are basically saying that we need to have equity in the classroom. You need to be able to assess the language skills of your students, regardless of where they come from and how they learned English. And how did we put this into practice? Well, first and foremost, we know that the student life, when they go to the campus, it's not composed only of academic writing, academic lectures, and academic language all the time. There is also the social interaction. There is also the peer interaction, the communication between colleagues, and that's what we have incorporated into the test. And also, there is a topic that has drawn attention, which is the cultural context of each candidate and the topics that they might or might not have come across during their student life. So I will ask you to please add in the chat box if you can remember one academic topic that may come across, that your students may come across and they may find unfamiliar. So have you ever seen a topic that is culturally specific, but that topic was present in either a nationwide test or an international test, and you might find that topic might be unfamiliar to students? Can someone remember something? I can give an example, which is recurrent because we used to have a few questions that might have something related to Greek mythology. This is a topic that was present when I sat for the TOEFL test years ago, and Ghislaine is mentioning biology. Yes, there might be very specific topics within the field of biology that could come up in the test, and students might find unfamiliar. And we have to take into consideration that we have students from all parts of the world taking the test. So Lauro is mentioning geology, Maria Alice, aquifers. Yes, I remember a dialogue about pottery. Yes, Elvira, this is very specific. So I agree with your examples. These would be very specific topics, and therefore we are trying to avoid those. We are trying to avoid very specific topics that would add an extra cognitive load to those students and maybe interfere with their performance. And of course, we do not want anything to interfere with their language performance during the test. So we are expanding the kind of language used in the test and bringing this language closer to the students and blending academic topics with real life, campus life scenarios that all students will experience once they start studying at an international university. So, to give you an example of how we are modernizing the reading section. So, the reading section will also incorporate passages from sources like magazines and websites. This didn't happen before. We used to have only those traditional passages with academic content. We will still have those, but we will add uh, passages that will bring news and will bring everyday content, and thus we will be more aligned to what students experience in their daily studies in the campus, because of course, you know, they will need to use their sources in their academic life as well. So this is an example of how this principle of fairness is being implemented in the reading section. And also on top of that, we will have a multi-stage reading section. So that means that the reading section of the TOEFL IBT test will be adaptive. It will have two modules that will adapt depending on, the second module will be assigned to that test taker depending on their performance on the first module. Okay, this is for the reading section. And also, another important change is the type of questions that we will have in the test. I hope you can see in this word box, we will have three question types. First one is complete words. So we will have texts with missing words, and students will be required to complete those texts. We will also have reading daily life, which I have just described to you, those passages incorporating content from magazines, websites, etc. And we will have the read an academic passage question type, which is a more traditional question type that you are probably already familiar with, because this one has already been present in the current version of the TOEFL test. And now we will also have the principle of fairness incorporated into a modernized listening section, because this listening section will also incorporate interactions that are keen to happen on the campus, real campus life situations, real day-to-day communication situations, peer-to-peer conversations, because we want to measure students' ability to use their listening skills in a wide scenario. And we want the students to prove they are able to interact in those social contexts in the campus. However, we will also keep the traditional listening questions that we used to have with academic lectures and professor announcements, for example. These will be kept. So as you can see, we have, I'm referring to the box at the right now, we have four question types. First, we have listen and choose a response. The students will listen to a short listening sample, and then there is only one response possible from several choices. They will have to pick one. Then they will listen to a conversation, and this is where we find the social interaction context. Then they will listen to an announcement, which is a longer audio sample. And then finally, they will listen to an academic talk. And the academic talk, we could say that this is a more complex audio sample for them. And then the listening section will also be multi-stage, such as the reading section. So the candidates will complete the first module, and then a second module will be assigned to them depending on their performance. Now moving on in relation to the writing section. So in the writing section, we will keep the academic writing task, but we will also add an email task in addition to the existing online discussion task. So the candidates will have this opportunity to use the writing skills considering a broader context of academic interaction that maybe does not refer strictly to academic contexts. So just to give you this example, I hope you can see from the screen, but this is an example of an email to that is being sent to the editor of a poetry magazine, and that student is saying, hey, I want to apply, I want to have my poems published in this magazine, I want to confirm if you have received my samples. And that's not an strict academic topic, but that's a topic that is part of their academic life. And the writing section will not be adaptive, differently from the listening and the reading section. So the writing section will be linear, will be the same for all candidates. And as you can see, we will have 3 task types. First, you will have build a sentence. Then you will have write an email, which I have just demonstrated to you, presented to you. And then finally, you will have write for an academic discussion. So this task type is more complex, and this is the task type where we will be able to identify higher skill levels. So moving forward, we also have changes in the speaking section. So you will still take the speaking questions from the computer as usual. However, now you will have the simulation of an interview. So there will be an interviewer who will ask you questions in a recording, of course, and then you will have some time to prepare, and you will reply and record your audio sample. And this is also a linear section, just like the writing section. It will keep being linear, okay? It will not be adaptive. And you will have 2 question types. You will have listen and repeat, and then you have the take an interview question type. Now, the take an interview question type, it has stages, right? So to speak, because there will be a few questions that the virtual interviewer will ask the candidates. So several questions will be answered. And then, of course, you will have simpler questions to start with. And then those questions will become more and more complex so that we can identify higher speaking skills levels. And we would like to emphasize that TOEFL remains designed to measure the ability of that candidate to use the English language in an academic setting. So the complex questions will still be there. Students need to be very well prepared for those questions, as they have always been, but at the same time, we are incorporating social skills and interaction skills, just like I displayed to you. But it's very important for you as teachers to bear in mind that the complex questions will be there as well. And now the second principle, agile. Why do we want TOEFL to become more agile, and how are we going to do that? So the first idea here is flexibility, because we want to have flexibility to offer the test in different settings and to support diverse classroom needs. And on top of that, we want to have a faster score turnaround. And you that already work with TOEFL, you probably know that there is a deadline for receiving the scores in digital format, which is from 4 to 8 days. And we want to decrease that. And this will be possible. So very importantly, after January 21, 2026, Scores will be released in our electronic system after 72 hours after the student has taken the test. So that's a significant change. Of course, we as teachers, we always recommend that students get ready in advance, register in advance, doing everything in advance. But sometimes you have those students that maybe they didn't have the chance to do all or register in advance, and they make a last minute decision, and then you can tell them, hey, your scores will be available to the destination, to the designated institution that you select in the system in within 72 hours. So maybe decision day is day 5. So this is a reflection of what we find in our world, because our students, they are making faster decisions, and this is a new change that TOEFL is implementing to support those faster decisions. So please tell your students that now their scores will be available within 72 hours in digital format. Okay. And now moving forward to our third concept, which is smart. What do we mean by smart? So we are talking about a range of elements here. We are talking about booking. We are talking about diminishing complexity. We are talking about accessing results in an easier way, having a more streamlined flow in our portal, clear instructions, accessible answers for questions that students may have. And on top of that, we are also talking about a more linear alignment to the CFR score scale. So I will show you that in a minute. First, let's start with our TOEFL registration page. So for those of you who are regularly supporting your students, you may have noticed that the TOEFL portal has changed its interface. And by the way, more changes can come within the next few days. This is entirely possible. So maybe you are watching this recording, and when you go to the portal, maybe something is slightly different. Is that the reason is we are constantly listening to feedback, and we are improving our interface, our digital interface constantly. But I would like you to take a minute just to look at this vertical menu right here. When you first land on our portal after you have signed in, you will see that you have several options here. So you can register for the test, you can buy preparation materials, or you can view free preparation materials. You can view your previous scores that are still valid. You can view your orders. You can request accommodations if you have special needs. And you can also find the specific contact channels for Brazil. So this is all in a vertical menu, very easy to find, okay, from the very first page. Now, in relation to the TOEFL scores, in my modest opinion, this might be the most important change that we have for the TOEFL test, because it will impact directly in the comprehension that you have about the score. So as you know, currently, the scores of the TOEFL iBT test, they go from 0 to 120, right? You have 4 sections, and each section accounts for 30 points. So now we will have an overall scale of 1 to 6, and it is clear, intuitively, is very clearly aligned to the CFR. All levels are there from A1 to C2. You will be able to make an easier connection to prior learning, to the materials and books that you are using to teach, and there will be more consistency, because that scale will be applicable to the overall score as well as to the different test sections. So this is a nice slide for you to take a photo if you want. But I will share also at the end of the presentation, I will share a few links with you where you find more information about that. But as you can see, we have a very clear alignment between the TOEFL scores now and the CFR levels from A1 to C2. And also, during the next 2 years, the TOEFL score report will show both the overall score in the new scale and in the previous scale of 100 to 20, from 0 to 120. So in the example that you can see on the screen, the test taker got 4.5 out of 6, corresponding to 90 out of 120. So for the next 2 years, both overall scores will show on the score report. So this is very important. Now, we also have a smarter system. For example, we have improvements in the home edition test. Most of you may know that, let's say, 99% of the institutions that accept the TOEFL iBT at the test center, they also accept the TOEFL iBT home edition. There is no difference between the two tests in terms of structure, in terms of validity, in terms of score scale, etc. But we are improving the home edition because we recognize that students need support. So the first thing that changed, and this changed in May already, like I mentioned earlier, we have a smoother check-in process where students will be able to use their cell phone to check their ID and also scan the room. You have a single app for everything you need to do using your cell phone. You don't need more than one app. You just need to install one app in your cell phone and then use the computer to take the test, actually. Also, you have a cleaner digital interface that makes all instructions very clear for you. You have a second camera with your using your cell phone, so it will be easier to scan the room where you are taking the test. And also, you will have human proctors. So if you have any situation, you'll be able to get help from those proctors. And let me mention this, all those proctors, they are hired directly by ETS, okay? And on top of the human proctors, you also have an AI copilot to help you during the test. And I would like to mention that still we offer the home edition test, but we also have a very consistent network of test centers, more than 1,200 cities all over the world, more than 2,300 test centers all over the world. And in Brazil, we have more than 50 test centers. But as you know, Brazil is a huge country. Maybe your student may live in a city where we do not have a test center, and they might think that home edition is the best option for them, and it's okay. But I would just like to emphasize that. And now our last principle, the tailored principle. What do we mean by tailored? So we want to support individual learners with flexible pathways, because those learners, they are at different stages in their learning journey. And we do not want test taker who is maybe they are at the beginning of their learning journey or in the middle of their learning journey. We don't want students to get discouraged during the test, because maybe they are coming across questions that are too hard for them, and they will feel the pressure, and maybe they will not perform as well. And we also want them to have human proctors, either in the home edition or in the test center, like I mentioned to you, because we know students need support, candidates may need support during the test. And the way we are doing that, as I have already mentioned to you, we now have multi-stage adaptive testing for the reading and listening section. I have already described that to you. Now we can give you more details. Okay, so how is this going to happen? We actually have the same stage 1 module. So students when they're taking the reading section, all of them will start with the stage 1 module, and then depending on their performance in this module, they will be assigned either an upper or a lower module for stage 2. So this will be the case both for the reading section and for the listening section. And as I mentioned earlier, the speaking and writing sections will continue to follow linear tracks, meaning that they will not be adaptive. I have already made a few comments about the benefits of multi-stage adapting. So we believe that multi-stage adaptive testing is a fairer way to assess your students, and they will not suffer so much from pressure because they are coming across questions that are too hard for them. Maybe they will get nervous, so that will not happen, and they will be able to perform their best at those two sections without any impact from the questions that maybe they seem too hard for them. And what does this all mean for you as a teacher? So you probably have students that you teach, maybe you teach them in the classroom, maybe you teach them one-to-one. So what does this all mean to you? What do these changes mean to you, and how will they impact your work? So here we have a summary of the changes. And I know I have mentioned this previously, but I can emphasize those changes will come into effect starting on January 21, 2026. This is a great slide to take a picture, by the way. Following the table here, we are moving from exclusively academic context to an academic context with modernized campus life tasks. So the academic context is still there. This is something very important to bear in mind. You still need to prepare students to be able to produce written texts, written academic texts, sorry about that, and also incorporate the modernized campus life tasks into their skill set. The score scale, as I have already demonstrated, has changed from 0 to 120 to a score band from 1 to 6 with clear alignment to the CFR and with increments of half a point in each section, and also in the overall scores. We will have multi-stage adaptivity for reading and listening, which we did not have before. We will have a shorter score turnaround. Students will receive their scores in our digital system within 72 hours. We have improved already the home edition, TOEFL iBT home edition security and experience. Now we have identity verification using a mobile app. We have a second camera with the same app, and we have also the functionality of scanning the room within the same app. So you have a consolidated application for all those steps. And also we changed the proctors. We now have in-house proctors. This means that they are being trained constantly, monitored constantly, and also audited constantly. And so now I have a poll for you. And how will that poll work? You will react, please, with the emoji. Okay, so thumbs up if for first alternative, and then smile, second alternative, a kiss for the third one, and then love eyes for the fourth one. So in relation to the fairer concept, why are the TOEFL iBT enhancements now fairer for students? What do you think? It's because they have fewer grammar questions. It's because TOEFL iBT has eliminated academic reading. It's because it uses topic more relevant to students' lives at campus, or is it because it only tests speaking and listening? Yes, that's correct. It uses topics more relevant to students' lives at campus. So that's why TOEFL iBT enhancements are now fairer for students. Now, second question. What is the main benefit of TOEFL iBT's faster score turnaround? It helps students move forward quickly, make decisions quickly. It gives results in real time during the test. It allows students to retake the test instantly, or it adds extra time to the exam. What do you think? I'm giving you a few seconds. Yes, that is correct. It helps students move forward quickly. Now, third question. What does the Smarter Scoring Update include? A single score with a percentile rank, a CFR aligned 1 to 6 scale with the existing 0 to 120 score, scores based on student location. This one is funny, I'm sorry about that. An optional pass or fail grading system. Yes, correct. A CFR aligned 1 to 6 scale. Now the last one. How is the TOEFL iBT test now tailored to students? Students can choose their test topic. The test ends once they reach 50% accuracy. Questions adapt to the student's level after the first part, or test content changes based on student's age. Yes, correct. Questions adapt to the student's level after the first part. Let me just emphasize once again that this applies to the listening and reading sections, okay? Speaking and reading sections are still linear. So let us just recover the main topics that we have been working with during the session. Thanks everyone for your answers. So you have memorized everything very well, but you can summarize again. This is also a great slide for taking a photograph maybe or a screenshot. TOEFL remains designed to measure the ability to understand and use English in college/university setting. It tests general academic language, which it has always done, plus the communicative skills that you are already teaching your students. So this is very important to notice because, of course, you are already teaching communicative skills to your students, and this will be used during the test. Preparation for the skills assessed in the legacy TOEFL iBT will help students succeed on the enhanced TOEFL iBT because the complex academic questions and tasks, they are still there. The test maintains a strong focus on meaningful communication in context, even on the tasks measuring foundational skills, and those skills appeared during the tests I displayed to you. And the test questions meet students where they are, reducing pressure and helping them staying confident. Okay. So how will you prepare your students for TOEFL iBT moving forward? So the first thing you have to take into consideration, of course, is when your students are taking the test. If they are taking the test before January 21, 2026, no need to change your approaches. You can keep using the same materials you have already been using. But if they're taking the test after January 21, now you need to familiarize yourself with update test types and practice materials. And how will you do that? Okay. You can incorporate and adapt authentic materials from real world sources because real world content will be present in the test. You can strengthen foundational skills because they will be present in the test. You can develop test taking strategies. You probably have already been doing that. Training students in the new question types. And of course, you can always use CFR aligned materials. Bear in mind, you will have a clearer alignment to the CFR for test scores. And now, please, I suggest you prepare your camera because I have a few QR codes for you, okay? So, first one, I would like you to visit this page. This is our international page for workshops and webinars. We have an international schedule for teaching TOEFL iBT skills workshop. That's a great series of workshops. They deliver workshops for each skills separately. So I really recommend you register for those workshops. In the section webinars, okay? You have plenty of topics there, and I really recommend you register for those. Moving forward, I hope you have already opened that link already. You also have a dedicated page for teacher resources, and you will find materials that are adapted to the new format of the test. So you have the test overview with sample questions. You will have the frequently asked questions. You will have 20 lesson plans. I don't know about you, but I love lesson plans, okay? 5 for each test section. And you have full-length practice tests, 4 of them. You can print those and use in your classroom, and you can also benefit from the audio tracks. Everything is there for you. And also, you will have the scoring guides for speaking and writing. And the answer sheet for listening and reading will be there as well. So you can prepare your camera. Okay, I will give you a few seconds to make sure you visit that link. That's a great link. And you cannot see everything because the screenshot only shows the first PDF document, but there is a bunch of PDF documents going down the page, okay? Yes. So moving forward, I hope you have all opened the link already. And I would like now to take a few minutes to listen to you guys. How would you describe the enhancements in the TOEFL iBT test? Do you have any feedback that you would like to type in the chat box? And you can still do that while I am talking, okay? Because I want to move forward to the questions, but you can still feel free to type your your comments about your feedback. I mean, about the new TOEFL test in the chat while I look at the questions. Okay, so first question from Lauro. So the monologue recordings in the speaking portion will be cut out. Well, you can consider that you will have monologues as the final questions, because we will have oh, you are referring to the speaking portion. Yes, you are correct, Laro. I'm sorry, I confused with the listening. Yes, we will have a difference there because you will be as in a virtual interview by the interviewer. So yes, I will not say they will be cut out, but I will say that we will have the announcement question type. It's not exactly the same, but it's still a monologue in that sense because it will be an announcement. It will still be an announcement. So will the integrated skills questions remain? No, we used to have the integrated skills questions. These are going to be replaced by the new question types. And Lauro, I see that you are very much interested in the question types. This is super important for preparation. Very important questions pointed out. So I would recommend that you visit the preparation resources page that I have just showed the QR code, because there you will find a document summarizing all the question types, so you will be able to take a look at those in more detail. Okay. Elisa, will it include something different for blind people? Well, we have accommodation formats for blind people. to be honest, I don't know all the possible accommodations by heart, but we have a specific page that summarizes the procedure for requesting special accommodations, and there is a solution for blind people. I'm sorry, I do not remember exactly the options that we have, but we have options, okay? So we have a dedicated page for that. By the way, if you have an account at the TOEFL iBT portal, like I showed at the beginning of the presentation, you can find the accommodations page from the portal, or you can Google for it, and there will be an entire page showing you all the steps to request accommodations. And let me make this comment. It is very important that students request the accommodation before they pay for the test, right? Because the accommodation will have to be approved, and a different test date will have to be assigned for them. And so once it is approved, then they can pay. Then Victoria asked, will the recording be available to us later? I think Rodrigo already answered that. I think so. Victoria, use slides. Lauro is asking if the slides are going to be available. Lauro, I have a solution for that. I can show you in a minute, okay? Okay, well, there are more questions here, sorry. So, yeah. Oh, no, I have answered this already. All right, so I will get back to the Público tab. Thank you. The first time I took the TOEFL test, I had to go to São Paulo. Elvira, yes, this happened to many people, and now you don't have this situation anymore, because if you don't live in a city that maybe has a test center, you can still take the test from home. And then, as we are closing our session, I believe I have read all the questions. So, Lauro, you asked me about the slides. I would invite you and all the participants of this webinar to please scan this QR code so that you can win a 10% discount promo code, which you can share with your students so that they can register for the TOEFL test with a special price. And on top of that, we also have a promotion which is live now. We have 7% discount for the home edition test, and the promo codes that I will send you guys will be activated on top of the discount for the home edition. So you will have an even lower price for that. Once you scan this code that I'm showing you right now, it will lead you to a contact form that you can fill in with your contact details, and then I can email you with the summary information from this session, and I can include the links to the summary pages for the main content of this section. Okay, so you can have that for reference, such as the teachers page, the webinars page, and other topics that we discussed here. So please make sure you open the form, you fill in the form with your details. And well, if we don't have any other questions, I think that now we can close. Lauro is saying, yes, that's quite a change, Lauro. I agree with you. And also another comment from Lauro, I was able to scan the first code, but I missed the second. You missed the second code? Maybe this one, Lauro? In any case, if you have filled in your information in the contact form, I will be able to send you that. You are welcome. Welcome, everyone. It was great to have you here in this virtual room. Rodrigo, I think now we are done, so we can close. As a final comment, please make sure you visit my page on LinkedIn and follow me or send me an invite. I will be able to accept your invite. I'll be happy to do that because I am every now and then posting updates about TOEFL iBT. So please feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. So, Rodrigo, thank you very much for your support. I think that now we can close.
Recording will be available on Disal's YouTube channel, and see you next time.
Yes, thank you very much. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.